100% of the people who go and do these immersions, no drugs, no substances, go into these experiences, 100% of the people come out who went in with depression, who went in with anxiety, who went in with these maladjusted or entity, type of reactions to life, come out 100%. Cured, you could say.
Yeah.
Non-reactive. How many come out of that from a psilocybin test?
Rachel Justine is a sober voice the spiritual world didn't know it needed. A divine-dosed leader and a rebel with a cause, she's creating zero-proof spaces that are just as high without a single psychedelic. Her stance in mind is clear. Plant medicine has become the new age's biggest cop-out. A shortcut that's not actually taking you anywhere. And in this episode, we're both bringing the receipts from the industry built on dependency to the sovereignty you can't access when you're still dosing your way to God. Let's go. Where? Here, on Earth, now. Fred, what do you think? Is plant medicine an addiction, or is it truly serving you?
My honest experience is that it's an addiction. It's a form of escapism. It's a quick path to a revolving door. It's a path not devoid of pain. And it's also it can be a very dangerous one. Not just for the fact that it could end in mortal death, like you dying, not just ego, fun and games, but death.
Welcome, Rachel Justine. How did you like that intro?
Wow, I couldn't tell if I wanted to cry or jump in my seat or...
That's good. That is a good feeling to have. It means, one, the intro was good, and two, that we're going to have a super compelling conversation. And so welcome everybody back to the Spiritual Debate. Obviously, I'm V, and I'm really excited to have Rachel here today because on a human level, I feel like we have a lot of relatability around, honestly, the journey of addiction. I'm sure we have different nuances there, but how that weaves into spirituality and the new age space of plant medicine. And so to begin, I want to share a little bit of my journey because I don't even know if you know anything about it. It's not something I often speak about, but I want my audience to actually have an inside scoop into this. And so let's venture back to my origin story with addiction. I grew up in a very unique environment. Substances were always a part of my family's life. For context, at family dinners, we'd be passing around Percocets like candy, like painkillers would just be like, hey, you want some of this? And I wouldn't need an oxy, but I would take it because I wanted to numb myself, and that's how I navigated my household. That's how everybody navigated my household. And so when I was about 14, 15 years old, we talked about this actually because you're born and raised in Michigan. Yes. I went to school in Traverse City. And this is where I was exposed to, well, every kid's ADHD and every kid's, popping Adderall. And so this started my addiction journey. Really, really getting invested in taking Adderall consistently, stealing it from others, doing whatever I needed to do to fit the need. And I'm sure you know what that means, like this feeling of I need to constantly fill this emptiness. And for me, it was all about achievement. That was what kind of drove the need for Adderall. I wanted to achieve. I was moving away from home at a young age, being an actor, trying to pursue a career, trying to get there. And then it was like, well, now I want to be good enough to get into college. And so then it was kind of feeding this loop. And for those of you who know anything about Adderall, for context, I was taking 230 milligrams of Adderall a day, and the prescribed dose is 30 milligrams of long lasting. So that was not a divine dose. That was not sober spirituality. That was staying up for 3 days on end, learning theory books in an hour, spending 5 hours getting my makeup done, being obsessed. It became so scary how far I took my addiction. And 3 days, no sleep. Yeah. I told my mom, finally, hey, I think I need help. And I don't fault you for this, mother, but this is how some of us learn how to grow. My mom's my greatest fan, so she's watching this, but she made me quit cold turkey. Yeah, hi, Mom. Talking about the story here. She made me quit cold turkey because obviously I finished my pills earlier than the month before you can get them, refilled. And that was one of the hardest experiences I had went through, obviously for the withdrawal, but also to try to fill that desire to be good enough with something that was not outside of me. And so my stance, especially in the psychedelic and plant medicine space, now having had my spiritual awakening journey, have been sober for many years now, definitely sober from Adderall, but just from the addiction culture in spirituality as well, I would definitely say that the plant medicine space has become an addiction. And I'm almost apprehensive to say this, but it's true that I'm afraid to get involved in the plant medicine space because I believe that the addict always lives in me. And it's not something I'm trying to suppress, and it's not something that I'm trying to run away from. It's just something I acknowledge. I have to check in with myself and go, hey, V, chill, like you're good. You don't need to don't fill. You're okay, you're enough. God's with you. You don't have to find something to constantly fill that hole. And so that's a little bit of my origin story. Thank you for receiving my journey, like shame-free. Thank you for receiving it. And I would love to hear a little bit about your origin story into sober spirituality.
Absolutely. Similarly to you, and thank you for your vulnerability and openness about sharing that, because I know sometimes this can be a lot to open up into. And similar with you, I grew up around drinking as just a very common thing. And someone in my family was also like the definition of what textbook alcoholic. And so that was the way that I got to know drinking. And I had my first binge drink at 14, first weed smoking at 14. And then from then on out, I was off to the races. Like, I'm like, this stuff is amazing. I don't care how much I puke. I don't care how many stupid things I do. Just became part of my life, and it ruled my life. And I'm like a rebel. I was a rebel without a cause, and now I'm a rebel with a cause. And I like to say that now because now I have a purpose and a mission. But like then the mission was just to like screw everything up. Like, if you told me no, I'm going to go do that thing, Yeah. And that continued on until I had a tragedy happen when I was 15. And the first love of my life got in a drunk driving accident, crashed a car, and 3 of our friends died. And after that had happened, I was like, I don't ever want to drink again. So I just started like smoking weed. I would just get high. I got rid of all my friends. I became a total loner. But I'm really grateful for that breakdown, because what it did was it started to plant a seed of hunger inside of me. I started to get really hungry for something that I didn't know existed. And so by becoming, going from like this popular girl drinking all the time, skipping school, all of this stuff, to someone who was like, okay, I'm just going to smoke weed by myself, and I'm going to get really curious about things that I don't know anything about, and filling my time up with books and reading and writing and films that I would never have watched, before, that were thought-provoking and spiritual in nature. And then that led me to watching Into the Wild, which is where the guy, wants nothing to do with society and goes out and moves to Alaska and just wanted to be in nature. And I really resonated with that story. So I moved to Hawaii when I was 18, because I'm from Michigan, so it's wintertime. I'm looking at the map and I'm like, I'm going to go to Alaska. And it's snowing, like 5 feet snow, below zero. And I'm like, Alaska, or right up the map was Hawaii. I'm like, that sounds better, So I looked into Hawaii, found this farm that I could just go be alone in nature. And I moved to this farm and began growing my own food. I basically just got rid of all my material goods. I lived out of a very tiny suitcase. And I just became obsessed with nature. And then I'm at this farm. This woman gave me a stack of books. And so they were full of gardening and farming, and then Tantra. And so I started studying Tantra. And at the time, I still wasn't drinking, and I also was no longer smoking weed. So I was just in this experience of earth and presence, and then these tantric books. And I started to discover things that I didn't know about my body, about what I thought God was, which was one, that my body wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was a temple. And I never heard that before. And so I started meditating on these concepts and breath practices. And I had my first like energetic orgasm, no substances, no nothing, just breath and presence. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God is within me. God is around me. God is everywhere, And that was this planting of a seed of spirituality. Now, that happening, I started to get hungry again for those other things, drinking, marijuana. And soon I went to this party in the jungle, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if it's like a rave. And it was my first, I guess, small scale festival where different kinds of plant medicine were passed around. And I tried it. I don't even know what it was. I think MDMA, acid, I don't know. Mushrooms, probably at least 2 or 3 of those. Yeah. And I knew I loved it. It wasn't in a ceremonial sense. It was very much in a get high, get loaded, get escape, like an escapism. Yep. From then on out, that became part of my story. So I continued to drink. I continued to use substances, and it just progressively got worse. Like it progressively got worse. Yeah. San Francisco, I lived with a drug dealer, but only did like ketamine, acid, and I dropped it every day. And I started ketamine every day. And I didn't drink for like a few months while in that stint, but I literally walked around like I couldn't feel my body or skin. I didn't leave the house, and it was very isolating and depressing to not be able to live in this reality. Eventually, I figured that like maybe that stuff doesn't really work for me, so I went back to drinking, moved to New York, got addicted to cocaine, and then had a rock bottom with coke.
Part 2, I could go on about cocaine.
It's a dark one.
It's a good drug, but you just don't ever want to do it.
No.
So I hear you. Sorry, but you can't say coke without being like, I fought so many people on coke. Like, wow. One hell of a drug.
It's one hell of a drug. Yeah. Then needed to pair that with a come down, which was Xanax. It was a concoction for a disaster. Had a rock bottom. Nearly died on that in New York. Had to go home to have my family come get me from Michigan, and went back there, did some treatment. The thing about dis-ease or being in the space of that is that you get so far away from reality and get so far away from being in our own physical skin because of trauma, because of pain. Like I was so hurting that I couldn't stand to feel what was actually happening. Yes. And so delusional. Yeah. I had to keep filling that up. And eventually, I just kept spiraling, and I ended up having an overdose on ketamine, which, by the way, do not ever mix ketamine and alcohol. That is a tranquilizer for death. This is a serious topic, because people want to talk about ego death. and the thing is like when we start to introduce some of these substances, is like you're not just talking about ego death anymore. You're talking about mortal death. And so I just want to bring that in because it is a serious topic. Yeah. And I've had 4 experiences, 3 out of my control, like near death, like actually had to be revived experiences. And psychosis, all of that, which we'll, I'm sure, get more into. But eventually I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I guess I can't do cocaine anymore. I guess ketamine I probably shouldn't do anymore. I guess, this one I shouldn't do anymore. Until it was just me and drinking. And drinking was the only one that I moved into the category of beyond human aid. And so people don't often have this happen. So sometimes for people who can kind of quit temporarily this or quit temporarily that, okay, you can manage it. Or sometimes that's a delusional thought to say, like, I can manage it, because oftentimes you really can't, especially if it's taking away your free will. Yes. But I moved past the aid, like, of human aid, meaning, like, I had to rely on something bigger than myself to be able to get me sober. And I went on a 6-month stint of, like, doing Tony Robbins work, and I hired another coach on abundance, and I started elevating my consciousness. I got honest about being an alcoholic with another person, and then I started seeking answers, and then I actually started to pray. I started to pray for resolve, pray for solution. And from that 6 month out of that first prayer, I was struck sober in my, So
6 months. Since 14 years old.
Yeah.
you were introduced to alcohol and weed. And how old are you now?
I'm 30.
And how long have you been sober now?
Almost 5 years.
That is an extraordinary story. That is an extraordinary story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what I find so fascinating is it was never just only Xanax, only Percocets. When you started to explore spirituality, it was always kind of weaving in those spiritual medicines alongside the Western medicines, which I find to be very fascinating. I do have a question for you, and I'm curious about this because one thing that we kind of both spoke about was this hunger to fill something. Explain that hunger to me. Is that human? Is that only the addict? Walk me through that hunger.
In like the spiritual community, we talk about being a donut, and then we have this God-sized hole inside of us, and basically wanting to fill it up with anything. And people can fill it up with a process, meaning a process could be a form of people-pleasing, could be codependency, could be ways that we try and navigate life through our words and feelings and actions, and then substances. So we can fill it through either this process or through this substance. And it's going to be one of those things. So people oftentimes, like in recovery or in that space, are not always addicted to the substance.
True.
Sometimes they're addicted to the process.
Yes.
And the feeling, though, is coming from things that of not being able to be in life on life's terms, meaning it's like this amor fati, this Latin state, which means like love fate. To, you know, back in the day, like mythological times, people would like look up at the heavens, and they would do like, you know, war mongers, like they would like strategically plan their war, and then they'd be like, okay, the rest is up to the gods.
Yes.
Like, gods will have it. Gods will be this. You know, and we watch as that slowly started to kind of fall away from people, where, no, it needed to be somehow in our control, like something that the ego needed to somehow try and subdue or have power over. And then the only way that the ego can have that power over that thing is through those processes or substances.
So in your journey with this hunger that was filled with what seems like substance, and then trying to process, and then kind of going back to and figuring out what that journey, dance, resistance was the only thing that filled you God? What was the thing that ultimately filled you to be able to be sober?
Yeah. Okay, so this is a really fun story because I was going through this process, and I'm telling you, like, this 6 month was really this, like, each day and each step, it was a spiritual experience because I was getting closer and closer and closer to surrender, right? You hear surrender to win, which is not something that a lot of people might like to hear, but actually to surrender could be what is needed to win, to elevate, to grow. And I had told myself I was getting so tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know? And I did it again, right? I had another drink and I got drunk, and I showed up in the beginning of the next day, and I'm in this virtual summit, and I'm like puking, and I'm just like laying on the floor listening to these people talk. And they took us through what's called the 7 layers why.
7 layers of why. Okay.
7 layers why. And each question, you get deeper and deeper of why. Like, why change? Why? What's the point? Why stop the substance? Why stop filling myself up with this thing? Why stop trying to use this to fix me or whatever? Why? And each layer, it was like a peeling back of the onion, a peeling back of the artichoke, if you will, and getting into that soft spot in my heart that just broke me open, which was, you know, after I got through some of the more basic ones, like, oh, I never want my family to see me like this. I never want anyone to see me like this.
Yeah.
Which is very surface layer.
Yeah.
And then into, I never want anyone to feel this way. And if I can do anything about it, I will. And that why, I'm getting goosebumps, has been my why. Because it's so strong, it's so potent, it moves me, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then after that, another speaker came on and said, you know, God gave you a mission, God gave you a purpose. And only you that purpose. Kind of like your fingerprint. It's unique to you. And how selfish is it of you to think that you don't have anything to give, or that you can't do the thing that you were put here to do, or that you're going to keep acting in the same way that you've been acting. That's selfish.
Yep.
It's selfish. It's self-centered. And I was like, dang, you know? And not only that, but that thing that you have that you've been put on here to do, that God is missioning through you as a download for you to be the channel for, what if that could save somebody else's life? And they're waiting, crying for help, inside for you to do that. And I'm getting goosebumps again because that's when I heard it. And it was like this, it was like mic drop, sky, like clouds parted inside of my home. I'm inside, but it felt like a light beam come down into my consciousness, come into my body, like penetrating rays of light, just going through every cell of me, lifting out of me, almost like a UFO coming in and like lifting the cows out of the fields, But like that was my alcoholic, like in there, like being lifted up into like the heavens, taken away, like zoom, like, okay, it's gone now. It's gone, like completely gone. The obsession was removed. And that's what filled me with the presence of there, like, undoubtedly is something bigger than me. There undoubtedly is something grander than all my schemes and plans and the ego edging God out. Like, no, like, oh, surrender that. Oh, miracles happen. Magic happens. And I had a voice come in my head, told me the next steps to do, and I've done that ever since, and I've been sober.
So it's almost like you filled the donut with service.
Mm-hmm.
You filled the hole with service. And I've been able to support a lot of addicts in many different ways. It's not always just, I had 6 beers in the morning. Sometimes it's like, I literally cannot stop the thoughts in my head. I'm addicted to my suffering. And there's so much to be said about, I love that you said surrender to win, because one of the biggest ways that I had been able to support some of my clients was about saying, go ahead then. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, drink it. Mm-hmm. I'm not shaming you. I'm saying have at it. Have a good time. And then when they opened up the fridge, there was this, well, if I'm given permission and there's not the shame and the guilt and the frustration of wanting to get out but feeling entangled, then suddenly it's like, 5 beers. I forgot this morning. How did I forget? Wait, I shouldn't forget. Let me go back. And then next thing you know, the love allowed the person to make a new choice without the same conditions. And that's really what I sense in your energy as well, that it got to the point where you were ready to take the experience of everything you've ever had, and with the right concoction of right time, right space, you're like, actually, there's a quote that's coming through that's like, God, use me.
Yeah.
Instead of I've been using you, God, assuming that I'm immortal and I'm just going to keep punishing myself and I'm going to keep filling this emptiness, hoping that something gives me that feeling of you. But instead of I'm using you, God, and taking this life for granted, I'm going to let you use me to fill me up with lessons and wisdom and stories. And that's exactly what I feel from you. It's the gift of, I think, addiction in general. The true hero's journey. The true hero's journey of like, I was down, but now I'm up, like sincerely. And I find a lot of this same energy mirrored in the spiritual plant medicine spaces. You see people who glorify doing ayahuasca 34 times. You see people who glorify ketamine use. I mean, girl, you live in Austin. So like, I'm surprised. I'm thankful that your name isn't like Rachel Justine. Like everybody's doing ketamine. I didn't know anything about it until I had friends in Austin. Like, where have we gone wrong in this journey of spirituality and plant medicine? Like, what has happened that has made us addicted to plant medicine and spirituality? Hey there, it's me, V. So, as you can imagine, this is my first podcast. And so I'm learning all of these new ropes. And did you know how important ratings were? I didn't. I had absolutely no idea. And I'm so thankful for the support of my team for reminding me of how important having your ratings, your honest reflection of the podcast, how much that benefits us. So I'm that annoying person in the middle of everyone else's episodes that I fast forward that hopefully you're listening to right now. And if you've got 30 seconds, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could take a moment and just rate this podcast, give it a thumbs up, share it with your bestie that you want to go head to head with, so we can continue to spread this message, debate about the truth, find what the truth is, and have the kinds of conversations that truly help us awaken in integrity. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating journey, because I think a lot of the people that we would ask who are using these, mail-to-you services of microdosing, psilocybin, ketamine now, fill in the blank. I bet if you would ask them that, what is your opinion on Western medicine? And they'd be like, oh no, that's a quick fix. That's like there's a pill for this, pill for that, pill for this. And yet they're taking this substance because it's plant medicine, because there's plant medicine in the topic, because of why. So I find it really fascinating. And honestly, in the even recovery community, people come to me and ask me, is this considered sober? Because they're wanting,
Good point.
They're wanting so much to continue to have a quick fix.
Yeah.
They want in essence, I think they want what I ended up experiencing, which is that burning bush moment, where there's this, coming to.
Yes.
But the thing is that you'll never come to on those substances, because those substances, all they do is they remove the resistance that your human has in opposing the force of God. But all that it does is temporarily reduces that resistance. It doesn't actually give you the euphoria. It doesn't actually give you the connection. It just removes some of those temporarily blockages. There were many times I used to go perform in festivals, and I would get high on MDMA, and for a time being, I would feel so connected to everything, so loving. And then after a few days after that, I would feel like I wanted to die. But why is that?
Yeah.
Because it just removed temporarily some of the resistance I had to love. It didn't give me love. And the difference is like, when you do it sober, you're going to have a sobering experience of coming to. First, you come to the realization. You come understanding that there is something greater than you, right? Then you come to an awakening.
Yes.
But we can never have that awakening with those substances. And people who are seeking these things are wanting, they want God. They want truth.
Yes.
They want this experience of it, but they want the shortcut of it.
Yep.
They don't want the actual death, the feeling, the humility.
Yes.
Because it's humbling, which can feel like a humiliation to their human, to need to do it themselves.
Yeah, and the time that it takes for sometimes a miracle to happen naturally requires a lot more hoops to go through, right? A lot more lessons, a lot more things that you need in order for that natural miracle to truly be. So let's paint a picture now. Fred loves ayahuasca. Hey, Fred. We know you love Aya. Does Aya love you? I don't know. You don't know the difference between what you think is a calling and what is really your ego telling you that it was a calling, right? They don't know the whisper of God. They know the whisper of their ego that they've called God. So Fred goes to an ayahuasca ceremony. And if Fred was sitting here, Fred would be like, no. I saw God. God told me what my divine mission was. I am here to be a medicine man, and God showed me these symbols, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then Fred would explain, wait, and also, while I am at it, my further argument is that actually all of that death that you were just explaining there, Rachel, that's actually integration. I was just integrating the medicine. And so that is my rebuttal to this debate. And I would like to hear what you have to say about that, because ayahuasca is my divine grandmother, and she helped me find God.
I love this. I love this. By the way, I've had an ayahuasca experience as well, and did combo, did all of it. I've done it all. And I love this. So, hi, Fred.
Welcome to our safe space, Fred.
Yeah, welcome to our safe space. I'll start with my experience, right? So I had an experience with ayahuasca, and when I went and had that experience, I saw visions. I had an experience. Then even after that, I had some beautiful interactions with my dad, which I've had a lot of battles with. And so that felt to me very spiritual. It felt to me like, one, I actually, for a time being, didn't have the desire to drink, which that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I'm not having the urge to drink. I had seen some visions. I had some clearing in my bowel movements. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, things that I've had some serious trouble with.
Yeah.
And that it was beautiful. And then left to my own devices, I wanted it again. I wanted the high. I wanted to be taken out of my experience again. I wanted that escape. And a shaman wasn't like a phone call away.
Yeah.
So what did I need to do? Okay, I went down the street, went to a party, got some MDMA. I felt that high again. And so it's instead of an opening door, for me, the pattern of it is a revolving door. Because it doesn't actually do what you were saying about integrating.
Yeah.
It doesn't integrate into this dimension. It doesn't integrate into this flesh and bone, skin, body, breathing, third dimension experience.
Yeah.
It's in that place where you go, where the resistance is removed.
Yeah.
It seems like euphoria, or it seems like the answer. And yes, I also want to say that I had one of the coolest experiences on MDMA. MDMA. I totally changed my life after that. Like, I became Jesus. I was already Jesus. I dressed up as the female Jesus, resurrected as a vampire.
I've never heard Jesus before.
Yes, like, this is legit, you know? I go into this party, and I'm dressed up in these, like, chrysanthemum flower bralette with, like, blood spatter all over because I'm a vampire, so I'm, like, sloppy. Anyway, people are asking me, like, oh, you're Jesus? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Jesus. And I had, like, the next thing you know, I had this line of people up to, like, ask me questions about their grandmother, when will she die? They didn't, like, repent their sins and this, whatever. And whenever they were in, elementary school, they did this to Bobby Joe, whatever. And I'm just, like, holding all these confessions. I'm like, holy shit, you know? I'm Jesus. Am I Jesus? You know, and the MDMA started kicking. I'm like, I'm Jesus. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Oh, wow. So I go into this bathroom. There's this clawfoot tub filled with fake blood. The mood light is like thing. They're destroying this house because it's their last night. So there's like handprints everywhere. I'm on MDMA. I'm like, I'm tripping balls. I'm like, okay. I look in the mirror and I see my pupils are like this big. Oh, you're Jesus. Okay. Like, oh, you're Jesus. And I start feeling my body, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, you're so soft. Oh, wow, I love you. Oh, I love you. And I had this amazing experience. I made love to myself, but I was she, he is us. Next thing you know, I'm mantraing she and he is in me, she and he is in me. And I'm making love to myself. I'm like, oh, it's not she, the female Jesus. It's the she and he is us. We are undivided and completely whole. And I'm making love to that. And I'm like, I am both equal parts. I am both equal parts. And I had this big, like, awakening of understanding that. I went out to the grass afterwards. I got down on my knees and I just started saying, thank you, God, thank you, God. And then I became Jesus. I recently, last year, changed my name back to Rachel, but I went for almost a decade by Jesus. Everyone knew me as Jesus. And I did ceremonies and everything where I helped people marry into the she and he and them, the masculine and feminine polarities, instead of actually looking at the physical bodies, but themselves were both. And so that was beautiful. It was profound. It was legendary. It was iconic.
Yeah.
But the thing was that I was never able to integrate it fully into my actual physical being. Beautiful concept. Once again, though, all that did was remove the resistance to me actually already knowing that truth. It didn't give me that truth. It just removed the resistance and the obstacle that it took for me to get that. And now I get to integrate what that now looks like in my sober body to live in a loveship with both polarities in myself at once. And that to me, that's holistic, that's organic, that's real, that's raw. So I don't want to rob you, Fred. Don't want to rob you, Fred, of the magic and the intensity and the sometimes awesomeness of that high. But is it sustainable? And is it something that you really want to live, even though that road can take you into a really dangerous place?
She, he is us is the sickest thing I have ever heard. That is a brilliant experience. And I think that is a nuance that is important to share. I have a client who channeled a frequency that has absolutely fundamentally changed her life on ayahuasca. She is also very aware of where that line is between the mother to her belief truly calling her, the medicine truly calling her, and it not. And for me, I personally, I smoked way too much weed when I was about 14, 15. We were probably smoking a joint at the same time in Michigan. You know, I loved smoking weed, but I don't think I was ever called, because I think my calling is of God, and I don't actually believe I could ever be in integrity being the sovereign healer. My entire method, being the sovereign healer, just like you, like your entire message, mission, God used me coming from the depth of being an addict. If I'm out here utilizing plant medicine and calling it a calling. So now I would love to go into kind of some of the challenges with integration that people are having, because what I am finding is that people have these unbelievable experiences. So they believe, and to their own point, they have those experiences. But then what ends up happening, and what I see a lot of, is there's a lot of different psychic warfare that ends up happening either when they're so open and they don't know the difference between God telling you that you should impregnate to women and you thinking that God or ISIS told you that, or truly having a divine experience and then trying to bring that down and integrating all of that distortion that you actually had and then integrating that distortion into your real life. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about potentially if somebody did desire, did want to use their free will to explore plant medicine, and that was a path for them. What is the way to do it, if that is the way to do it? Or do you believe that is not the way to do it at all, to be able to integrate these plant medicine experiences? Or is the path to be sober? Which one is it?
Okay, I'm going to say a few things. Okay, life is going to be painful regardless. Like, if you choose to be sober, there's going to be pain. If you choose to not be sober and go and do plant medicine, there's going to be pain. The pain in getting sober is facing difficult challenges and situations in life and being able to go back to that Latin, amor fati, like, that was up to fate. Like, that was a fate-filled experience. Someone died, or an illness, or a business loss, whatever it may be, fill in the blank. And then you get to go through what you grow through, and you get to actually grow, which is the spiritual path. Or you can do plant medicine, and you can go through the pain of putting a poison into your body, which physiologically and biologically, the body needs to get rid of it, because the body is not meant to have it in its body. It is a poison. So it needs to expel that. So you're going to go through a pain of vomit, of potential overdose and death, the pain of withdrawal if you begin to use it enough that you need it chemically. And then the pain also after, when certain relationships, certain dynamics in this third dimension, right? When you try and bring it into this world, you're not going to be able to integrate it. Because it's not here for people. There's going to be some distortion and fragmentation. And then those relationships will suffer. The relationship with the self can become also distorted. So there's a lot of pain factors in that as well. It's going to be up to you. It's really going to be up to you. And I my experience brings me into the only solution for me is complete and total sobriety, to not have any mind-altering substances.
Yeah.
I even quit, personally, I even quit caffeine for 2 years. I'm drinking it again because I'm a caffeine addict, but I'm that serious.
Hayden knows I'm a caffeine addict. It's the one drug I just can't get enough of.
It's a really interesting podcast by the medical medium about the coffee monster.
So
it's really fascinating.
She's consuming. Is it a she? He? Is us? I don't know, but she's got me good.
So I'm pretty hardcore when it goes to choosing a sober path.
Yeah.
As that's my solution today. I do that because I first had to.
Yeah.
And then now I do that because I want nothing else. And I wake up every day and there's a part of me that begs, but then I know that's not how really my relationship with God works. And I just thank in advance for my continued lengths of sobriety. Every day, I say, thank you, God, for keeping me sober today and loving it. And I thank in advance, even though there's a part of me that really wants to beg to stay in this because it knows how terrible it was to go through what I went through. And now on the other side, I'm not religious because religious people, I like the saying, religious people, they say, don't want to go to hell. Spirituality is for people who have been and don't want to go back. And I resonate with that because I've been to freaking hell.
Yeah.
And going into those places, all I see, when I think of, ayahuasca and I think of these drugs, I see a very dark
Me too.
light. And how you were talking about, there's an opening that happens, right, with your consciousness, right? You just become this open vessel because think about this. If God gives you free will, right, what would it then mean if something could take that away? That's what plant medicine does. It takes away your free will. You're no longer in control. You can no longer say yes or no. You have no option in what's going to happen in your vision or what's going to come through. And then in the psychological, so we take this from a psychotherapy aspect of IFS, internal family systems. It talks about all of our parts. We have all these parts inside of ourselves, and we could even bring in past timeline parts, so we have all these parts and all this stuff. And then you go into that experience and you're just opening up the floodgates. And in your way, you're saying you could be bringing in entities of other people. You could be activated by their own entities. You could be taking on things that are being latched to from whoever brewed the ayahuasca, ancestors, lineages, from their lineages, from their lineages, and then all of a sudden now you got your whole parts going and running. And when that happens, so break that down, right? You have those parts of ourselves that are exiles. We call them exiles in IFS work. And that exile part is exiled for a reason because it's too painful to feel otherwise. And then all of a sudden, you're opening up these floodgates. The exiles are out of the bag. They're feeling vulnerable. You come out of that ayahuasca experience. You now have no psychological tools to work with these things. And what are you going to do? That's what a spiritual psychosis happens, where you freak out. There's no tool, there's no ground, there's no reintegration into this body. Because now when you come back into this body, all those things are running rampant.
Well, I know. And I speak to that a lot because with psychosis, spiritual psychosis, I define it as trying to understand everything and forcing it. And then how beautiful a relationship with God is when it's not forcing yourself to try to understand everything. I think the trap we've gotten into with plant medicine is we want to understand ourselves. We want to understand who we are, why we're here, what our role is, what our purpose is, why are we alive? And we try to swallow it all in one dose. And then we wonder why everyone in life becomes allegorical and thematic. We have no connection with our senses. We're completely disassociated, and we call it integration. And we wonder why. I call it STD. We become spiritually transmitted diseases. We are just passing disease around to people, distortion around to people. And do I believe that we're all fragmented aspects of source? So from one perspective, we're all kind of a little bit distorted? Of course. But do I believe that we have a responsibility to maintain the temple, if you will, to your wording here. The temple of our connection with God that is holy and sovereign. How many times in the Bible actually it speaks about the sovereign Lord? It's not like the Lord who did ayahuasca and became the Lord. It's not like the Lord who fucking utilizes all of these external things and then remembers it's the Lord. It's the sovereign Lord, the Lord who knows inside it already is the I am consciousness. And I think the real distortion of psychosis happens because we just don't want to feel like we're nothing. And we want so badly to know that we're something. And that something is special, unique, matters, has a why, is alive. And that underneath it for me has been one of the biggest things I've had to break is like, what if I am nothing? What if I'm a no one? But what if I'm also everything? And what if I don't need anything other than prayer? Just sit my ass in a meditation and say, God, use me, show me the truth. You know, my clients will ask me questions like, you know, V, what's the next step in my path? And like, I'll go sit, pray over the truth. My clients will know this, how often I say, pray over the truth. That way, God is in you because the truth is in you. And you don't need a flying fucking thing outside of you to make you feel like you have purpose, like you're not nothing, like your life doesn't need to be filled by some meaning that some plant consciousness gives you. Let the consciousness of Christ or the divine fill you. I think that's really what we're the most afraid of, is being nothing. I wonder, what are your thoughts on that?
This is fascinating. I love growth work. I've been doing it even while I was drinking and using, which I contribute to helping me get sober. But there's this program, it's called Landmark. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. No. It's a forum. It's a formation of like neurolinguistic programming, thought leadership, and they get into, like the first day, you like sit down and then they tell you this like truth, you know, and it's like, life is meaningless and we're meaning-making machines. And for some people, that is like death to hear life is meaningless and we're meaning-making machines. But that was the first thing that they opened up with. And for me, that was actually quite liberating. It's like, oh, wow. Like, oh, what if there is this nothing? And that we're just constantly making meaning out of all of it. And then you like tie back in, I love Tony Robbins. So like we'll say like Tony Robbins would say like everyone's fear, the two basic human fears are that I'm not enough. And that what will that mean? Oh, that I won't be loved. So then we're trying to fill those, we're trying to find those needs and everything on the external, right? We're trying to like race to find that thing. But it's like, okay, but life is meaningless. We're meaning-making machines. So I'm making the meaning out of this thing. What am I making? Okay, what am I going to make this meaning out of? Okay, you know, you and I have a dinner date and I'm at the dinner waiting for you. It's 7:00. We're supposed to meet at 7:00 and you don't show up at 7:00. What do I make it mean? Everyone's going to be different in that situation. Are you a warrior? Is she okay? Did she get in a wreck? Oh my gosh, she got in a wreck. Okay. Oh, she's cheating on me. Oh, she's cheating on me. Oh my gosh. She's a little cheater, whatever. Or I could be like, oh, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to order an appetizer. I'm hungry. Like, what meaning do you want to make out of it?
Yes.
And the thing is that people, like, we think that we are powerless to the meaning that we get to make. And that's where, when we start to work with people, coaches, people who start to integrate things and tools that we get to use in our everyday life, which, by the way, Stanford has done a study on things, on breath work, through Tony Robbins, but it's through all these modalities of neurolinguistic programming, identity work, physiology, spiritual work, like doing the breath work. 100% of the people who go and do these immersions, no drugs, no substances, go into these experiences, 100% of the people come out who went in with depression, who went in with anxiety, who went in with these maladjusted or entity, you know, type of reactions to life, come out 100%. Cured, you could say.
Yeah.
Non-reactive.
Yep.
100. How many come out of that from a psilocybin test? 54%. 54% for a 30-day stint. But then guess what? Those numbers will totally decline if they stop taking it. But what happens when the 30-day measuring of the 100% after the event experience, they still have those tools. They still have those modalities. They still have those relationships. They still have those connections. They still have those conversations going on. So does it drop off? No. That's huge, statistically speaking, to say that we have the ability, like, to work with you, to work with me, to do any of these kinds of things. You start to plug those into our psyche, our ways of working, and you're no longer waiting at 7 o'clock in that worry state because that's how you are or who you are. We get to start to choose our path, which that's conscious creation. That's empowerment. I mean, isn't that what you want anyway? Everyone who's doing the plant medicines anyway want to co-create their world. They want to hack the system. They want to quantum leap and shift, bypass time, play with it. They want to, be Einstein time. Okay, is the train moving fast or slow? I don't know. I'm in it. I want it to move this fast or this slow. Okay, well, how do we do that? We do that through these other tools.
Yeah.
Where we are awake and aware.
So to your point, there are sovereign tools and modalities, sober tools and modalities that allow us to be able to access the very thing that plant medicine could give us. Mm-hmm. And we are not powerless in being able to choose that. And if we do choose that, there is 100% chance, truth, that we will be able to sustain that empowerment, that powerfulness over our own lives. Mm-hmm. And those tools stick differently because we were sober.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. My spiritual awakening happened on a cruise ship, in a cabin, meditating every single day by myself. Because I wanted to heal my addiction, because I wanted to heal my heart, because I wanted better. I'd always had a growth mindset, but it just went into, well, let me try to grow as fast as I possibly can, or let me grow so I can feel like I'm not nothing in the world. And that led to my addiction. But I had a spirit that came through one day, as clear as you and I are having this conversation, and said, I am your grandfather, and I've been with you your whole life. And I share that moment with my clients. It's the philosophy of what I teach, because it was the act of sitting my ass in meditation by myself, getting curious, listening, developing how to naturally raise your vibration.
Yes.
Naturally, using positive thoughts, true positive thoughts, thinking positive things, things that truly make you happy, using sense, using environment. Think about sex. It's like, you don't need drugs. You just got to set the right environment. You add a candle, the right person, dimmed lights, some good music. Next thing you know, I'm like, hey, let's get it on. You put me in a sterile room, pop me some ketamine and say, let's do doggy style dry. I'm going to be like, that's a completely different environment. And that moment changed. It's true. Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
I just was imagining the roughness of that. I'm like,
that is a different kind of ayahuasca ceremony. I'll tell you that. There's definitely purge involved. Been there, done that. But to my point, I think that's all we need. Not the doggy style. not the dry. But cultivating environments for ourselves that are sovereign, that utilize this reality, the gift of this reality, and utilizing sovereign tools that are here. I like to say all you need is light, sound, and breath.
Ooh.
Use your breath. Imagine light through your body. Put on the right frequency. Use your voice. And everything is there. People don't want to hear that because they're like, oh, I got to sit in meditation and use light, sound, and breath. I'm like, yeah, let's go. We could drop into that state together. And I think that is the true definition, in my opinion, of plant medicine. This is plant medicine.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is plant medicine. We, made up of the earth, is plant medicine. And do I believe that there are these beautiful plants that have been created from this earth that can be utilized in the right time and space if and when it is an aligned, true calling? Yes. But then I think that's it. I think it's an experience we have by choice or an experience we have when it is of truth. And then I believe the true path is the sober path. And so my question for you as we kind of close out this episode is plant medicine an addiction, or is it truly serving you? What are your thoughts?
My honest experience is that it's an addiction. It's a form of escapism. It's a quick path to a revolving door. It's it's a path, not devoid of pain. And it's also it can be a very dangerous one. Not just for the fact that it could end in mortal death, like you dying, not just ego, fun and games, but death, but also the fragmentation that can happen in the delusion that when you bring that medicine back into the earth could only feed more of the delusions that we're trying to heal from. And I think right now, as our consciousness is raising and things are changing and fear pervades, that we need people who are healers and light workers to be in their light.
Yes.
Not battling and opening their energy up to receive a darkness and then trying to give us messages from there. We need you and your magic. We need you and your potent humanity, but that humanity is driven by your spiritual connection. We need you raw in life, raw, open, real. We need this flavor of you that was already given to you.
Yes.
There was this message. I wouldn't be here right now having this conversation. I would be out there doing the plant medicine. I wouldn't be serving. And the thing is, if you're so caught up in doing the ingesting, you're not going to be so focused on the service of what it is that's already beating in your chest. Know this, every second this beats, you live. Every second this beats, your message is here to be given. There's no more proof than that.
Yeah.
No more. And my biggest invitation to all of those out there is to get in the work, to get in the conversations and in the rooms and with the people, with the coaches, within the people who are holding the spaces who can help them build that in their minds so that you can have that physical experience and know it to be true yourself. Because the only way, words don't teach, experience does. Maybe just try not to do the plant medicine and try these other modalities and F around and see what happens. Just see what happens.
Yep.
Watch, observe, make it a scientific experiment, test the hypothesis, because the only way you're going to know is when you have a direct experience with it. Try it. You'll like it.
Fred, do you think that you'll like it? Fred, what do you think? Is plant medicine an addiction or not? Fred, we didn't actually ask you. This was a one-of-a-kind conversation. You are unbelievably extraordinary. You have so much wisdom, so much knowledge, but also you just have so much heart. And I'm so glad that it's still fucking beating, girl.
Oh, too.
Me 3. That Adderall fucking almost killed me.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to be alive and aligned with you, with our hearts beating and our service still here. So thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you are. Thank you for flying from Austin and spending your Friday night not doing ketamine in Austin, but instead hanging out sober with us. We've got great plans to take you to our favorite place, known as Cactus Club. But Rachel Justine, thank you for being here on the Spiritual Debate Podcast. I could go on and on about you, but I'll allow our listeners to decide for themselves now. Is plant medicine an addiction or not? See you soon. Thanks for coming.